guys, welcome back to another episode of Soulful Feast, bite-sized information to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. I'm your host, Stephanie Zubiri, and if you're new to the podcast, you know what? We talk all about energy. Yes, it's one of our favorite topics here because you know what? We're all energy. Everything is energy. And today, I want to think about what it is that it means to maximize our full potential as a human being. What does it mean for us to truly harness the power of our own individual energies and how we create it and how we spend it? Today, I have a beautiful soul here on this podcast, a very dear friend of mine. I'm so excited to have her here. She's a personal mastery coach and human design expert. We've got Bianca Brandner. Hi.
Hi, Steph. I am so delighted to be here. I mean, I love our conversations. So, just to be able to share about human design and what I do here with your audience is really super special
Honestly,
for me.
if everyone could listen into all our conversations, it'd be super juicy hit.
I know. I was like, oh my God, we're going to talk about human design, but I don't know where else our conversations are going to take us. But you know what? I'm here.
We're
here
gonna
for the
roll
ride.
with it.
I'm gonna
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about what exactly is human design.
Okay, so human design is a tool that I use for my clients to help them develop a deeper understanding of themselves, right? So essentially what it is also is it's a science of differentiation. So what I love about it is that it weaves together very ancient schools of thoughts like astrology, the energy chakra systems, the Chinese I Ching, Kabbalah tree of life with modern sciences. So like epigenetics, biochemistry, quantum physics, and then together they kind of synthesize everything to create an energetic blueprint to kind of give you an idea on how to step into your full potential and just operate at your best.
Okay, so I like the use of the word operate, okay? Because we're not necessarily machines, right?
Yeah,
We're obviously energetic beings, but we do operate and function in a certain way.
Yeah.
And everybody is different, right?
Totally.
So what I love, at least from what I've learned about you with human design, is it's truly about how do we generate our energy?
Yeah.
How do we spend it? And then how do we regenerate that energy?
Yeah, and also understanding that we all have unique energy types, right? So again, it's a science of differentiation. So what I always say is, how we all come here into the world with our own unique purpose, right? With our own unique skills, own unique gifts, right? But somehow we kind of expect to operate in the same way. Mm-hmm. And so what I mean with that is, how sometimes you look, you have this person that you really admire, right? Super successful person. And you're like, okay, how did she get to where she is?
Yes.
And then you talk to her, or if it's a famous person, you read up on you read up on their life stories. And then as you find out, you're like, okay, that's exactly what I'm going to do. That's exactly the path that I'm going to take. But what happens most of the time is that we try to do it and then it doesn't work for us sometimes, right? And I would have clients come to me and say, I've done exactly what people said, what I have to do, but I still can't get the result that I want. What's wrong with me? Am I not motivated enough? Am I not smart enough? Am I not creative enough? And so to that, I would always say, what if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're just meant to operate differently?
So it's not necessarily about working harder, guys.
Yeah.
It's about working smarter, right? Working with how you work.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think the beauty of human design is really just, it's a beautiful reminder that different approaches really work for different people. And so, I think super often what I notice is that friction happens when we try to be someone we're not.
Yes.
Right? Or we try to
expect other people to be someone they're not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Our partners, our kids, right? That's also one of the human design applications that I really love, human design for parenting, because kids come into the world already fully aligned, right? They're unfiltered, they're raw.
So we are going to burst your bubble there for any parents or expecting parents. you cannot mold your child.
You can't.
They are who they are. They're beautiful
Yeah.
beings of the universe. Okay, just a little sidebar here.
Yeah.
Bianca's a wonderful mother of 3. Look at her. Oh my God. I have 2 beautiful boys. But children are who they are, and it
Yeah.
is our job to bring out the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
We are not here to make them into anything other
Yeah.
than the best versions of themselves, right?
Yeah, and it's not that sometimes we try to really, force our own agenda into our kids. Sometimes well-meaning parents really try to do that, thinking that this is what's best for them,
Yeah.
right? But then realizing that in doing so, it kind of just takes the children further and further away from who they really are. And then fast forward to 30 years after, they need to do a lot of deconditioning.
That's me. Us. All the undoing and
the
unbecoming
unbecoming.
trauma.
Yeah.
Yes,
So with human
absolutely.
design early on, you're already honoring really who they are, what's aligned for them from the get-go.
Okay, I
So-
love this. We could dive deeper into that. Perhaps that's like another topic
another
of
topic, okay.
of discussion. But I think the best way for you guys to really understand what human design is, because it's not quite astrology, it's not quite feng shui, it's like a mix of it all,
Yeah.
which frankly makes it a lot more palatable to a broader audience.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
some people are averse to the terms of astrology for whatever reasons, and or feng shui, like perhaps there are certain triggers there, or it's just not for them.
Yeah.
And I think human design is a wonderful mix of everything, but that makes it very appealing to a broader audience. So
Yeah.
for you guys to understand better, I asked Bianca to kind of like do my chart up and her chart up,
Yeah.
so we can really discuss and understand what this all is about.
So there are 5 energy types, right? So the manifestors, the manifesting generators, projectors, and reflectors. But for today, we're going to be talking about our energy types. So manifesting generators.
That's me.
Yeah. Well, I also have to say, although the energy type is the first piece to dive into, there's also so many different things you can really dive into and explore. So when I say, like, if you share the same energy type with a partner or with a friend, it doesn't mean that, there's so many others that you can sort of just differentiate, that can differentiate you from that other person,
Okay, so earlier you were talking about manifesting generators,
Yeah.
right? And how it is I would say just one of the elements. Because so your energy type is one of the elements, so one of 5, but then you can go deeper into the layers of it.
You have the profiles, you have your channels, your gifts, you have your purpose, right? So all of that can really give you like a clue of, how you can best create opportunities for yourself, how you can best make decisions. But as a manifesting generator, from my experience, whenever I introduce human design to my clients or to my friends, there's always a few core pieces that they resonate with.
Okay.
Right? And so with manifesting generators, the first thing that people resonate with is the fact that they are multi-passionate people, right? They're very multi-faceted. So they have this amazing gift to kind of explore different interests, different passions, often pivoting in different directions
Oh my
at
God,
the same
that's
time.
so me.
Yeah.
So I'm like classic manifesting generator like that. Like
Yeah.
they used to call me like Barbie, because it's like chef Barbie, interior design Barbie,
Yeah.
writer now podcast Barbie. Right? Because
Exactly.
I love life and I want to explore so many things. And I'm actually like the perpetual student. I'm constantly
Yeah.
taking certificates and classes and courses just because I want to learn, right?
And that's very nourishing for your soul, right? So just like you, these are my clients, manifesting generators are my clients who are lawyers, but at the same time, they run a yoga studio, right? Or, they want to cook at the same time. Or my clients who are business people, but also want to perform.
Yeah.
So their path is never linear,
Yes.
right? They should never be put in a box, right? They dance to the beat of their own drum. So they're super vibrant like that, right?
Yeah. And frankly, I super resonate with you saying earlier, like, is there something wrong with me? Because for a really long time, I'm like, why can't I stick to one thing?
Exactly.
Is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
Do I have commitment issues? Do I have whatever? Like, it wasn't that. It was because that's just not who I am. Like, the idea of doing the same thing day in and day out every day just sounds so boring to me. But there are some people who are like that, right? Like, so I completely resonate with that. And as I got older, as soon as I embraced that I needed different avenues to channel my creativity, my energy, just my passions, I just flourished.
Yeah. And you see, that's really how it is, right? I feel like, well, this is a fact that the core wounds of manifesting generators is that they feel like they're jack of all trades, master of none. Because our society and the world sort of doesn't support us like constantly pivoting and like reinventing. It's like you have to figure out who you are, figure out what you want to do in life, and be that. Identify yourself with that for the rest of your life, right? And this can be very like boxing for your type. And so the invitation here is really, can you allow yourself, give yourself permission to reinvent yourself, and not just yourself, but your business, right? Like when the energy is not there, just allow yourself to, okay, just let it go for a little bit and then move on to the next one.
You know, so just in case you're a new audience or new to me and my journey, many moons ago, I was a chef, and right, it's crazy. I ran a restaurant and a catering business for 5 years. Exactly, people forget about it. So 5 years of my life, I was in F&B. I was a chef. I had a catering business. I ran a proper restaurant. I was doing cooking classes. I did guest chef stints. I mean, full whites, guys, like uniform, toque, everything.
Full commitment.
Full commitment. I'm always full commitment.
Always,
I like the outfit. So anyway, like it, and then when I closed my restaurant, it was so difficult because it felt like a failure to me, definitely. And it also felt like breaking up with someone, you know, that I loved, and breaking up with a piece of me. But when I committed to that, so many other opportunities came in. Absolutely.
You will really see that the universe has your back. You will really be given the opportunities. And another thing that I always tell my clients who have the same energy type is that manifesting generators, one of your greatest gifts is your efficiency. You guys are quick to absorb. You're quick learners, right? So, you know, what may take people 6 months to sort of like absorb, you guys can really learn everything in 2 months, in 3 months. And then after that, you're ready to move forward. And, you know, all of that is for a reason, right? Because at one point in your journey, it will all make sense that, okay, the things that you've learned in the past, you were meant to learn them so that you can weave them all together for the next step of your journey.
And, you know, that is something I also resonate with. It's like I go dive deep, get in fast, like really get absorbed in the moment. And then I have a big capacity to process things. And I think one of my biggest faults is I don't allow myself the time for integration to process, because when I actually do, when I allow myself to really like dive deep into something, wow, it's like amazing. But again, it's really like giving yourself permission to really be who you are.
And that's really what it is. I think what human design does is it gives people permission to be who they are. Like when I first, like, okay, let me step back a little bit. So all my life, I've spent so much of my time trying to kind of do things that don't exactly feel right? But this is what the world says is the right thing to do, right? So I would force myself to do that, right? So it would always feel like an uphill battle for me because that's not what's aligned for me. On the flip side of that, there are also many things in the past that were not exactly the most popular, but I love them. Like it really, like it nourished me.
Like what?
Resting. Resting is like such a radical thing. Like it's like, or like not seeing my friends.
But you know what? That's a radical thing for people our age.
Yeah.
So I'm turning 40 this year.
Yeah.
And our generation of moms, it's like I felt like I had to bounce back immediately, go back to work immediately. Like there's no space for us. Like super rise and grind boss babe culture.
Yeah.
Right? But I think the younger generation are just a lot more, they acknowledge rest is important, the
Yeah.
downtime is important, all of that is important.
It's really honoring the rhythm, right?
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It's just honoring that you have your inner winter, you have your inner summer where you can just be out there.
Yeah.
But once in a while, you like, especially for my type of manifester, we need more rest than
Yes.
the usual. And for me, that was the hardest pill to swallow, because I have so much limiting beliefs about resting. You know,
Yeah.
like I posted so much about this on my Instagram where I thought it would slow me down when I'm resting.
It's like you're unproductive,
It's
right?
like I'm unproductive. But, now I'm really realizing that no, that's actually the aligned way for me to do things. And, that it's really part of my creative process, right? It's not like a waste of time, but it's really essential because, yeah, they say we're in a generation now with exhausted manifestors and exhausted projectors, because these are like non-energy beings, because we're just trying to keep up. But when we really, well, I guess we can talk about that later when we talk about my
Yes.
energy type. But is there anything like coming up?
No, so I think, one of the things is like just, I'm thinking like we're all kind of like plants,
Yeah.
right? Every plant, every flower has their own cycle,
Time
right?
to bloom.
Everyone
Yeah.
has their own cycle. Perhaps some are tropical plants, some are evergreen,
Yeah.
some need to germinate and, hibernate underground before they can actually blossom and bloom. So if in nature, plants and animals have their own cycle and can respect that, why can't we?
Exactly.
Why do we always have to be in the same cycle, constantly evergreen, evergreen, evergreen? It's exhausting.
Yeah,
I
no,
want to
it
like
is.
sometimes wither and turn to fall and hibernate and then come
Yeah.
back like spring.
And it's not just exhausting, it also diffuses your power,
Yeah.
right? It diffuses your ability to tap into your genius.
Yes.
Because if you're well rested, right, you can come out like a fire, right? You
Yeah.
want to be like a fire that's like completely ready to kind of light everything up, rather than like a dimming candle.
So one of the things I learned about me is I don't need great swaths of time for rest, but I
Yeah.
need daily quiet moments of rest.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that's aligned in any way with.
I think everyone needs that. I think especially as a manifesting generator, you guys, your strongest sense is your intuition. You're very intuitive beings, right? And so you hear your intuition better when you rest. You hear guidance better when you rest. Like the steps, like the next steps just seem to sound clearer, right? When you give yourself that space.
Yeah, it's the quiet, right? Not so much. I think for me, yes, it's rest, but it's also that liminal space,
Yeah.
like embracing, like I really look for it. And that's when I
Yeah.
get burnt out, is when I don't give myself time, like
Yeah.
you said, to like look for it and have that liminal space where I can receive.
Yeah.
Rather than just give.
Continuously give. And rest also looks different for everyone. And this was also one thing that I had to teach myself, because I thought before resting was watching Netflix and like just not doing anything, massages all day. But I realized that doesn't work for me. Rest for me is like walking in nature.
Oh my God.
Like
It's for everyone, guys.
It's for everyone, I think. But yeah, or just being in my own energy, listening to nice music, dancing, moving. Pilates for me actually is resting.
Yeah.
So if you find, or some people, resting is like doing art, painting, right? So whatever gets you to a place of connection, right? That allows you to connect to yourself.
Yes.
If that's what's restful for you, suit yourself.
So part of human design is also how you create your energy, like where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
And that's, everyone is different. So maybe you're a manifesting generator, but it comes from which energy source, which chakra source. Like I know for me, super sacral chakra
Creativity,
energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So sacral is the seat of intuition.
Yes.
So because you have the energy to see things through, right? You can generate a lot of energy, right? Just because you can do that doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
So you always have to ask your intuition, is this the right thing for me? Because if you just keep on giving your energy to things that don't really light you up, that's going to deplete your energy. So you always have to be, a lot of the things that we do in human design is really listening to your body, listening to the intelligences that your intuition has. Because, we always just think, okay, all the intelligence is in our mind.
It's
logic,
it's
right?
so not true. It's crazy, because I think one of the things I want to encourage people out there is intelligence lives all over our body, right? So we think of just our brains, our minds, our neurons, our neurological pathways, or even emotional intelligence. But I like to think of myself as kind of like an octopus, where every part of my body is an intelligent, sentient being, right? Right? Like the if you really look at the octopus, how everything is intuitive, right down to the tips of his tentacles, can change shape. That is us, right? We are just limiting ourselves with this sort of very scientific view of how we operate, right?
Yeah, so everything has to be logical. Like how many times do you hear people say, let's talk when you're not emotional? Let's talk when you're more rational. And I would always tell my clients, I'm like, there's so much intel that you can get from your emotions, right? Anger can show you, okay, where to set boundaries. Jealousy can let you know what's important for you, right? So at any, like from moment to moment, the universe is always talking to you through your intuition.
Yes.
Right? So that's what it is. Like our life is a series of decisions that we make. So in human design, one of the things that we look at is how you can best make aligned decisions, and that's always through your intuition. And so if you always do things that are aligned with your intuition, then it will take you closer and closer to who you really need to be. Whereas if you take decisions based on the standards of others, or this is what's going to make this person happy, it's going to take you further and further
And
away
depletes
from
your energy centers, right? You just end up running on empty.
Yeah.
So let's talk about manifestors.
Okay.
That's you.
Yeah. So manifestors are, in human design, they're the initiators, right? They get the ball rolling. They're the fire starters. Manifestors love freedom, right? They don't like to be controlled. They're here to do things their own way, right? And usually one of the ways that a manifestor would give their power away or her power away is if she waits for someone to tell her what to do and when to do it, right? And so that was what I did all my life, right? I made myself small. I made myself fit in.
Follow the rules.
Be in a box. So with the manifestor, the less apologetic you are, the less, how do you call it? The more authentic you are in your authentic expression, the more you could make opportunities for you, like aligned opportunities for yourself, the more you can invite the right people and the right opportunities. We are also non-energy beings, so that's what we're talking about with rest, right? Our energy operates in bursts. So with manifesting generators, if you're aligned, you're always at 100%, 90%.
That's
right?
very true, though. You know, when I am doing what I love to do,
What you love to do.
when I am really in like a project, I am not exhausted.
Yeah.
I will go. Like, I am quite tireless. I get so drained when I have to do something that is not aligned
Lighting
with my
you up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with manifestors, even though we love something that we do, we have to rest. Like it still tires us out. So what happens is we get creative bursts of like when we're well rested and when the time is right, we can harness 200% of energy and could really make a lot happen in a short span of time. But after we put that out, we have to go back to 20%. And that's what needs to be honored. So, actually, thinking about that, we rest more than we initiate. But you see, a lot of that is really trusting. And that's also the thing that I had to, work with, because it can be like there's a high with being productive and being able to like just birth to so many things. So you want to keep going and you want to stay consistent. But it feels like the universe will just unplug you and you're like, that's it, no more power for you, because it's not time. And so there were many instances in my life where I will force it and it would fall flat. Like all my efforts would fall flat because I'm forcing.
Yes.
So it's a lot of, okay,
but
it's
isn't that like
dancing
such a great lesson for everyone, though? It's like the path of least resistance. Because, you know, when things are aligned, they just flow. Like it will just happen for you, right? When it's the right timing, when it's the right project, when you are vibrating exactly that same frequency. It will just flow. And then when you force the issue, whether that's a relationship or a job opportunity, or frankly, even like friendships, it just, there's friction, right?
Yeah.
So just a quick rundown of, you know, the other three, quick brief overview of the other three profiles.
So they're projectors. So, okay, just to also give you a better idea, manifesting generators and generators make up 70% of the population.
Okay.
So because you guys have a lot of energy, like that's the role model that everyone gets. So for me, whenever I see a manifestor, I'm like, I need to teach you our ways, because like this world is very is more conducive for generators and manifesting generators. Manifestors make up only 9% of the population.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then there are projectors who make up 19% of the population. So projectors are they're called projectors because they kind of see through the veil. So they kind of see things that a lot of people tend to overlook, right? So they have a good vantage point of like, they know exactly what path to go, what works, what doesn't work. And based on that, they create systems. So they make good guides, they make good CEOs. So yeah, I have a lot of projector friends. They're also non-energy beings. So it's also important to cultivate rest. So for them, just 5 minutes of rest. So my clients who are projectors, I tell them, just give yourself 5 minutes of rest, of a break in the day, and see like the difference that it will make. And it really does.
Yes.
And then there are the reflectors. They make up 1% of the population. So if you meet a reflector, it's like meeting a unicorn.
Oh, wow.
So what it is, so what they do is they have this innate ability to kind of show you what's happening within yourself. So they say in business, it's good to have a reflector because it reflects to the CEO, to the team, where you are. And so you can assess, is this where I want to be?
Yes.
So because they're reflectors, they're very open to taking other people's energy. So it's important for them to be in environments that make them feel valued and recognized.
I understand. So I have a question.
Okay.
Can you shift energy types over your lifetime?
No, although there are, but again, because there are many nuances to your chart, you can be like, for me, there are different variables, right? So I am a manifestor, so I don't have a lot of energy per se, but my root chakra is defined, and like all my other chakras are that kind of create energy to make things happen. Then in a way, it also makes me a generator in some cases, but it's just a matter of, I guess, knowing when to do that.
Yeah. So, so for example, for me, I for a very long time lived very comfortably in a very outward energetic motion, right? And I still do that. But then lately I absorb energy, or maybe that's just because of my own spiritual energetic journey that I'm like this person that absorbs energies. So, how does that work? Like, how can human design help us in our shifting journeys and roles in life,
A lot of that is, again, just knowing that as a manifesting generator, you're very intuitive.
Yeah.
So if your intuition is calling you to be more inward, then how can you answer to that? How can you answer to that more? So since human design is such a new concept, like compared to astrology or the chakra systems that's been around for thousands of years, human design has only been around for 40 years, right? And so people would say, is this true? Or, like, is that too mystical or whatever? And I would always say, I'm not here to convince anyone of anything, take what resonates.
It's another tool.
No, and
right?
take what resonates and leave the rest. The question is not, is it true, but is it helpful, right?
I like that, guys. The question is not, is it true, but is it helpful?
Yeah, so take with you whatever is useful, add it to your set of tools, and then things that don't resonate, leave them be and be on your way, right? Because at the end of the day, human design is supposed to empower you. It's not supposed to limit you.
Yeah. As with any spiritual, astrological, or any practice, really, it shouldn't limit you. And I think this is great advice for a lot of you guys out there who might be into the woo-woo stuff. Like, I know some people who get paralyzed by feng shui, or who get paralyzed by horoscope, or, even the sound of Mercury retrograde. Oh my God. Like, people, none of this is meant to limit you or paralyze you. And if you are looking at it from that lens, you're looking at it wrong. You're really supposed to look at it as an empowerment tool. How can you learn more about yourself? How can you be more self-aware so that you can operate better in this world?
Because in that sense, you're also kind of giving your power away, but to an external force, to feng shui, to the horoscope. When, again, I feel like I keep saying this again and again, it's within you. Your intuition will always guide you home.
Absolutely.
And that's why, like, people would say, when people would ask me, what is human design? How did it help you? I would always say, I feel like it helped me be more myself. But more than that, it's come home to who I really am.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just so much of my life I've spent trying to contort myself and bend over backwards, right? And so, after realizing realizing my design, it really gave me permission to be like, oh, that's me, and I'm weird, and I
love it.
I can embrace it and lean into it because we're all different, even the things that we like, right? There, like you said, like, there are people that you're naturally drawn to, and sometimes people would be like, why are you hanging out with this person or whatever?
Oh my
and
God,
you're like,
I stopped already with the people. I love new people, new energies, and I think people come into your life for different reasons at different seasons, and there's so much wisdom to be had when we open ourselves to these connections that the universe gives us.
Absolutely.
So just to wrap things up, perhaps you can just, in a sentence, sort of like summarize, if someone was going to like kind of dive into this, where would they go, and why? What should they look for? What should they arm themselves with first?
So, well, human design, just like astrology, you have to, you just have to put in your birth date, your birth time, and then it will, the system will calculate your individual design, right? So, what to look for? I guess just be open about it, and really just know that sometimes, like, I didn't resonate with all the things in my chart to begin with, but again, I just allowed myself to work with what first resonated. And then as I unpacked, more and more things started to kind of resonate. And now I feel aligned.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, that's everyone's goal, right? Is to be in alignment with our values and our true selves. And it's a overarching theme, really, of this podcast is
Yeah.
who are you? What is our self exploration journey so that we can discover our most authentic selves so we can live it in the most
Yeah.
authentic way?
And that's not to say that I'm aligned and I'm aligned for life, right? It's like we're forever a work in progress. So, it's like you don't sweep your house like one day and then expect to be like the house to be clean forever.
Forever.
You have to constantly like make sure that the dust is like gone, right? But yeah, I'm forever like just continuously knowing things about myself. I've been exploring human design for quite a while now, but even yesterday I was like, there's a new thing that I learned about my design and I was like mind blown again. It's just there's so much to know about ourselves because we're always growing, we're always evolving, we're always becoming. So when we're evolving, when we're growing, we also have to update our frequency with it, update our standards, update our values.
Absolutely. It's like updating your phone, guys.
Your iOS.
We gotta upgrade the software. As the hardware gets older, we also need to keep up and update the software and the
Exactly.
firmware and all the wares.
All the wares.
So thanks so much, Bianca. Can you invite everyone, like where can they reach out to you? And
I have my Instagram. It's Bianca_Brandner. And all the details are there.
Yes. So you can reach out to Bianca if you want to embark on a deeper journey of self-awareness, because you are taking clients and she also has all kinds of wisdom to share. So thanks so much.
And sorry, I just feel called to share this because I
Yes.
was talking to someone on the way here and I was like, I'm talking about human design and Steph's podcast. And they're like, what are you going to say? Like, what's one thing that you want to say about it? And so I was just thinking, if you have if you find yourself struggling with trying to conform, right? Trying to follow rules. I feel like human design, exploring your design would be a great way for you to just empower yourself to just embrace your own way of doing things, right? And just trust that your intuition will always give you the best advice.
And again, my one piece of advice for you guys today is just check in with yourself. I think we go through life on autopilot, and maybe take a moment right now to sort of check in on how you feel. Did you feel aligned today? What were the things that brought you joy? What were the things that drained your energy? What were the things that lit you up from inside, made you smile and have that fire? And, just taking stock of what your day looked like and how you could have more of those glimmers and less of those triggers or draining moments. So thank you so much, Bianca.
Thanks so much, Steph.
This has been amazing, and I hope you guys learned. It's been a pleasure. I am so excited to dive more into my type of human design, and perhaps you guys can too. So I've been your host, Stephanie Zubiri, for Soulful Feast, bite-sized information to nourish your body, mind, and spirit.